Alrighty guys, so welcome back to another video. So today we're going to be doing some experiments. With me today I have my Dragy. So I'm not going to go into the details of what exactly a Dragy is, but it's basically just the most accurate GPS performance meter on the market. It's if you were to take your car to a quarter-mile track, 1/8 mile track, or do any form of, I guess, sanction racing, this would be within a few thousandths of a second, accuracy-wise. Right, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to be using my Nissan Pulsar. Again, it's a stock 1.5 GA15DE Nissan Pulsar, which originally was my daily driver. Now it's running a Speeduino ECU. So now what I'm going to do today is a series of experiments. So I am going to time the car on the stock ECU and then try switching it to the Speeduino, which I have already done before. The car is running on a Speeduino ECU, and then we're going to look at the difference. We're mainly interested in the trap speed. Trap speed is an indication of horsepower. So if you gain horsepower, you ultimately gain trap speed. But then with a quarter-mile pass, which is probably the best way of measuring a car's performance, you also have other variables such as 60 foot, 330 foot, 1/8 mile. That's an indication of bottom end and low end power. So we're going to just do a couple experiments and we're going to see where we end up with at the end of the day. Right, so stay tuned and enjoy. Alright, so we're going to be doing the stock ECU first, and then we're going to see where the car stacks up. Alright, so let's go. Okay, so after the run, well, I did 2 runs, but the best run with the factory ECU was 19.97 at 69.18 miles an hour in the quarter mile. Right, that was with a 3.16. I'll go ahead and put that slip up. 3.16 60 foot. 12.93 at 55.5 miles an hour, 1/8 mile, and yeah, so 19.97 at 69 miles an hour. So the next test, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the Speeduino control just the fuel, because on that quarter-mile pass with the stock ECU, the fuel ratio pretty much went down to like an 11.1, 11.2, pretty much all the way at wide open throttle. So I'm going to try that, and if I recall correctly, I'm targeting something like a 13:1 FL ratio on my tune. So we'll see how much, or if that does anything to improve the miles an hour. Miles an hour equals horsepower. More miles an hour, more horsepower. Less miles an hour, less horsepower. Right? So let's move on to that test. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and put that slip up again. So with this one, with the factory ECU still controlling ignition and Speeduino controlling the fuel, what we saw was off the line it did not bog out, and that bog I believe was coming from the stock ECU that's been so rich. So that's bog in the car when you try to brake boost it. So that helped with the 60 foot. The 60 foot improved to a 2.89, and that improvement in 60 foot saw an increase, well, a decrease in the quarter mile time. So we're down from the 9.9 to the 19.43 at 69 miles an hour. So no more increase in horsepower per se by cleaning up the fuel. It just helped with getting off the line. So that's pretty cool. Alright, so small gain. So next we're going to try switching to just well, switching to Speeduino controlling the fuel and the spark, and then we're going to see if there's any difference with that. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and put that slip up now. So with the with the Speeduino now controlling fuel and ignition, we got a little bit of wheel spin off the line. So the 60 foot, I think we had a 285, so we are 296 now, 60 foot. So a little bit slower to the 60 foot because of the wheel spin. And what we're interested in now, we improved the quarter mile time, even if it was 60 foot, to 19.28, and the 19.28, and the trap speed improved from the 69 miles an hour ish to 71. So there are definite gains. I would associate the gains being more with ignition than actual fuel. Almost a mile and a half. At this weight of the car, if you punch that into an online calculator, that would equate to roughly about 5 or so peak horsepower. But the gains are definitely in the bottom end. The fact that it's not peak rich means that we can actually go full throttle and the car doesn't fall on its face. Okay, so a lot of information to digest, so I'll go ahead and try to run through that very quickly. So stock ECU, the car pretty much had a very rich condition and very little timing, so we saw it did a 19.9 something at 69 miles an hour. Swapping to Speeduino controlling fuel alone, we saw gains there, so it cleaned up the rich condition, so the car was able to go through the first half of the track a lot better, since it made a bit more horsepower and torque in the low end. And we saw a little increase in trap speed, so peak horsepower did increase a little bit. And then swapping over to Speeduino doing fuel and ignition, we saw further gains. So overall, from stock ECU to the Speeduino tune controlling fuel and ignition, we saw about 1 mile an hour increase. That's the trap speed. So if you punch that into an online calculator, that would roughly be about 5 or 6 wheel horsepower, peak horsepower increase. But most of the gains, you won't see it if you punch it in on a calculator, and that is the low end power. So the car was able to leave the line better, 60 foot better, 330 foot, and also the 1/8 mile. Right, the Dragy was super consistent. I'm super impressed with how repeatable the results were. So I will definitely be using this on other cars in the future, and I will be using it to further tune this car. There is a lot of power, but a bit of performance left with this car, just playing with ignition and whatnot. I already did this off camera, so look out for that in a future video, right? If you guys made it to the end, go ahead and smash that like button if you liked the video. If you want to continue seeing videos like this, leave that down in the comments. But till then, I'll catch you guys in the next one. So stay safe.